A potential deal in the payment space sending shares of Pinterest surging today. A source confirming to CNBC's Kate Rooney that the social media company is in late-stage talks to be acquired by PayPal. The shares under pressure today on the back of the report. For more on what a deal could mean for this fintech firm, let's bring in Dan Dolev. He covers PayPal at Mizuho Securities. Dan, great to have you again. The stock was down 5%. It seems like it would get this sort of deal would get it away from being a fintech-y fintech.
Yeah, or alternatively, again, thanks for being always great to be on the show. Or alternatively, it's another way for them to get deeper into e-commerce, into internet, and integrate fintech into internet, right? Because if you think about it, a lot of internet names like Facebook are getting into payments. So maybe PayPal's action today is that counteraction of them getting into internet. So it's a tit for tat that they're doing right there.
That seems like getting into the internet by brute force, though, Dan. I mean, don't platforms want to use PayPal as their preferred payment method without PayPal having to acquire a platform? I mean, when I first read this, I thought, why does PayPal need to do this? And does this indicate that there's something lacking in PayPal's growth prospects that it has to look for a deal like this?
Yeah, I think you're making a great point. So I guess the fear in the market today, and that's, we expressed it in our note as well, is that everyone was looking for the net ads. They got it to over 50 million of net ads in fiscal 21. And I think the fear is that, e-commerce is slowing, net ads are slowing, so they need something to bolster growth. But I think if there's a long-term strategic rationale here, it's actually getting deeper into that vertical integration into e-commerce, and maybe potentially in the future going after a company like Shopify or Amazon. So this could be just one more building block in that long-term plan. But I agree with you, there's a lot of eyebrows today in the market, and that's reflected in the PayPal stock price.
Hey, Dan, when I look at a deal or a potential deal like this, the history of large, M&A, strategic M&A in tech is not great, right? And so here's a company, I think to Mel's point, is that, Pinterest saw, 91 million monthly active users in that last quarter. It was decelerating, it was disappointing, the stock got hit. And I would just say that, listen, these guys just went public 2 years ago. Isn't there a longer runway for this company to, rather than immediately get gobbled up by a big payments company that is also seeing accelerating growth? Isn't there a path forward with maybe a bricks and mortar retailer like a Walmart or something like that? Because I could see Pinterest being a massive, feature for a Walmart who is actually making some good inroads in e-commerce away from grocery.
Yeah, look, it's a great point, but I think there might be sort of like a confluence of interests here, right? So if, I don't cover Pinterest, but as I was doing work today, you're seeing, the COVID bump in terms of their user base just spike. And to your point, it's been decelerating ever since. So, they might be under pressure to maybe kind of sell to someone. And then PayPal on their own end are kind of seeing, e-commerce slow, which has nothing to do with them. It's just sort of that post-COVID kind of hangover. And the confluence of those interests is what's creating like maybe a good combination of sort of, a good price, but also some long-term strategic benefit that they could not get by not, by each one being on their own.
Dan, great to speak with you. Dan Dolev of
Thank
Mizuho. Steve, what would you make of this tie-up?
So I think it was interesting. Truist actually put out a piece saying that they thought they were better off buying a processor. And I immediately looked at Lightspeed, that's a $14 billion company, or a Toast, which is a $25 billion company. They could buy both of those for cheaper than what they're paying, or the same amount that they're paying for Pinterest, and it gives them more exposure to where they want to be. So I don't like it.
Pete, by the way, I don't know where he was, in some sort of cellar. We fixed his audio, but he's on the phone now. I've been getting tweets, free Pete, like nobody knows where you are. They think you're like locked up someplace. Anyway, you're on the phone. What do you think of PayPal potentially buying Pinterest?
I actually think it makes a lot of sense when you really look at their monthly users for both, and they're very close to one another, 400+ million monthly users. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think if they were able to get it anywhere close to where the price is right now, Mel, all you got to do is go back to earlier in the year, and you could find back in February and April, this is an $85 stock. And I'm looking at it, and I look from a valuation perspective right now of Pinterest. It's pretty amazing, actually. It's a $40 billion market cap, and yet this is a company with $2 billion in cash. They got almost no debt. They got great cash flow, and they traded a forward PE of about 40. So when I look at this company, I think it really would make. First of all, I think it would make a good match. But second of all, I think they're getting it for the right price. And as a matter of fact, if you look across the industries right now, I think the price that they would be paying actually makes a lot of sense going forward for PayPal. But we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of different things that have to go right. But we've seen a lot of option paper in there. We saw some monstrous paper just a week or so ago. They were dead on as far as the timing of this whole thing, as far as the announcement. But I think we have to see when will this actually happen. And if it does happen in November, I think it's going to be at a price a lot higher than we are right now.
Tim, you're grimacing and you're shaking your head, so I feel like you don't like this.
Well, first of all, I'm just thrilled and happy that Pete's okay. We were all worried sick, and I'm glad that things are better. I don't think this is a cheap acquisition at 13 times sales, and I think it's actually not an accretive deal for PayPal, who's not cheap either. But you know, they certainly, with their overpriced currency, or maybe not, I think could be doing other things that certainly they are laser focused on engagement. I get that. This could be seen as an extension of their Honey acquisition, which was I think previously their largest acquisition. I like Dan's idea. This makes a lot more sense for a major retailer and big box, et cetera, to really be the funnel. I don't see it at all for PayPal.